Okay. So this is your third training or the third class for your training. So previously we were discussing on how to create these streak effects and stuff like that. Remember? Same thing we're gonna do, or we're gonna learn a little more about these effects in today's class. So to get started, we will be talking about the double exposure images. How can we create something like the one which I've shown you earlier? I think this is the project which we were showing you the demo for. Okay, so how we can create this project or how you can work around with this specific project we're going to talk about. So let's go step by step. First, we will understand how we can extract something which through the color channels. That's the first topic of today's class. So how to extract specific objects through the color channels. So for this example, what we will be doing is, let me just close down everything in here. And let me bring up a specific image. For this example, now please don't do it with me now. You can do it at the end when I'm trying to create notes. So when I'm trying to create notes, at that time you can do it. So first thing is to understand how you can extract specific colors and with their channels. So for that, I'm going to search for trees in here. And this can be a best example. So here we have a white background, but the trees which we have in here, they are of greens, reds, and blues. So combination of greens, reds, and blues. Every single color, whichever you see in here, is a combination of red, greens, and blues. Even the sky, it's a combination of red, greens, and blues, little, like a little red, a little blue, but more white. Okay, so now as we have these trees, I wish to select these trees without distorting or without having the edges showing up. So if I download this image now, if I just click on download free, it will download the image. If I bring this image into my Photoshop, it will be, you can bring this in. Now you see in this specific case, if I go ahead and try selecting this, so before I do anything, I will be creating a new layer. So drag this to the plus icon and drop it so as to create a new layer. And with this new layer created, now you see if I try to make the selection of the trees by using the object selection tool, let's say for example, then this happens. It makes the selection, but it will ruin the edges. I'll show you that as an example. Give me a second. Okay, so now you see that it's making the selection, but it's finding a very hard time to see what exactly are the edges and what not. So to remove these options or remove these problems, we will be relying on the channel selection method or the channel selection of red, greens, and blues method. So for this method to work, you have to go to three-step process. The first step is to create each layer for each channel. So I'm going to create three different layers for three different channels. So red, greens, and blues. RGB, forget about this because this is a combination of all colors. So I'm not going to look for all color combinations. So what I'm looking for is the three different channels for this. So I'm going to select this, drag to the plus icon, drop, drag to the plus icon, drop. So I'm creating three different layers for three different channels, three different color channels. I'm going to name this as R, which represents red, G, which represents green, B, which represents blue. So RGB, red, green, and blue. In these three different layers, I wish to select only the red colors of this, only the green colors of this, only the blues color of this. So how do I make the selection is by first bringing my mouse and clicking over R. You see, I'm clicking on R. As soon as you click on R, I'm going to click on channels. And under my channels, you'll see that this is the blue layer which we have. So what we're going to do is we're going to press and hold Control key from your keyboard and click on this. Don't click on the name. Click on the thumbnail or the icon or the image of this blue. As soon as you click on this, you see that all the blue colors are getting selected. Not everything, only the blues are getting selected. Now at this point, what you do is you go back to the layers and you create a mask of this. That means only the blue color selection, you just take it out. Okay, so how do you take it out is by selecting this and clicking on the mask. The problem would be that if you click on the mask, that color gets left and the other things apart from that color get selected. We don't want that to happen. We want the opposite to happen. So how can you make this is by pressing and holding Alt key from your keyboard or Option key. If you're using a MacBook, it's Option key. If you're using a Windows, it's Alt key, which is just beside your control key, right? So we have three keys just beside the space bar. So beside your space bar, we have three keys. We have the Windows key, and then you have the Alt key, and then you have the control key, right? On the left-hand side. So same thing, you press and hold Alt key and click on this mask button, which you see. As soon as you click on here, you see what happens is only that R channel gets selected. If I remove everything, you can see only R channel is there. Now I want the same thing to be done with blue. So now, sorry, with green. So I'm going to click on green, go to channels, press and hold control key and click on green. Now only greens get selected. Now I go back to my layer channel and press and hold Alt key and repeat the step. Do the same thing for the blue channels. Click on the blue channel, go to channels, press and hold control key and click on blue. Oh, I think I made the R as blue. Okay, never mind. We're going to make this as red now. So I'm going to press and hold control key and click on red, go back to my layers and press and hold Alt key again and create the layer channel. So now you see that when you do this, you are selecting only specific colors. You're not selecting the entire image. You're selecting only specific colors. And those colors happen to be the objects. Do you understand? So you're selecting specific colors, and those colors happen to be the objects, and that is the reason why you're getting this image. You have a clean cut of the image without having the background. Okay. So once it's done, now what we do is we're going to select all the layers together. So press and hold Shift key and click on the top layer, click on the bottom layer, all get selected. When you select all the layers together, now what you do is you right click on the image and click on Convert to Smart Object. As soon as you click on Convert to Smart Object, you see what happens is that it will be merged into one layer. However, it's still editable. What do I mean? Is that now when it's merging to one layer, you can still edit this at any given point by simply double clicking on this layer. It will take you to another page where you can start editing this. See, you can still get the editing capabilities just by double clicking on it. So this is the smart object. Okay. So once it's done, now what we do is you see that this is the extraction method. This is how you extract the colors from the background. Okay. Now that is first topic which you have learned. So I'll just revise everything, whatever I have said so far. I'm going to do it in a little bit higher pace. So you see, you just recap, your memory recaps, okay? So first, I'm going to create 3 distinct layers. Name them all in red, green, and blues. Once it's done, I'm going to hide the background, select the red channel, go to my channels, press and hold Control key, click on the reds. Go back to my layers, press and hold Alt key, click on the mask. Select the blue channels. Go to channels, press and hold Control key, click on blue. Press and hold Alt key from your keyboard, click on mask. Select the B channel. Hi, hello, how are you? Select the channels, press and hold Control key, and select the blue as you have seen. Assalamualaikum, how are you, Mr. Man? So click on the layers, go ahead and click on Alt key, and then click on the layer mask again. So now when you do this, you have these extraction of the layer channels together. Once everything is done, select everything, right click, convert to smart object, and there you have it. So this is how you can extract the trees without distorting the edges or without distorting the background of these images, you can say. So this is an example of how you make selection of only the object and not the background. Now we're going to do the exact same thing, not here, but in your double exposure image, all right? So how do you do the same thing in double exposure image? Let's see. So I'm going to remove everything, close down everything in here, don't save. I will be making notes as I'm going through. So again, let me just create some notes as I'm going through. Double exposure image. Okay. So import the image, that would be the first step. I will just link the image which you need to download. Side portrait is something which we'll be searching for. And this is the portrait which we are looking for. Download. Bring it right back and drop it. Okay. So these kind of double exposure images are very much trending. Double exposure image, I'll give you examples. So you see that this is one of the examples. Okay? So we're going to recreate this as an example. Okay. So how do we recreate this? Also, you see that they have a sapien look. Even this would be fine. So anything, it's fine. So you can either take this, that, whatever. So for this example, I will be going with that example which I showed you earlier. this one. So I'm going to go with this example itself, okay, for this example. Later on, when you are ready with your double exposure image, then you can go for this one, okay? So we're going to try both of them. So first with this. Now at this point, what we do is we're going to go ahead and bring our this trees image in. So how do we get the trees image is by going in here. Okay, for this example, let me do one thing. PS Office. So you're going to import this image. Second is to extract the background. So once you download this image, okay, you're bringing in your Photoshop. And once it's done, what you do is you create a new layer. Press and hold the background, drag and drop it in the plus icon. So you create a new layer. Or you can also click on layer, new layer via copy. Anything, it's fine. Okay. So create a new layer. And once you create the new layer, now what you will be doing is you will be going ahead and extracting the background. So extract the subject from the background. So how would you extract the subject from background? It's fair and simple. Click on the background, select the fourth tool, 1, 2, 3, 4. Click on select and mask. And as soon as you click on select and mask, now what you do is you click on select subject. Okay. Sorry, miss? No, I have just added this in here. You want me to send this in the WhatsApp also? I'll just send it. No issues. That's done. So go ahead with that and then click on OK. That's it. So now also please make sure that you're clicking on this, decontaminate colors, and click on OK. All right, decontaminate colors and click on OK. So I'll just repeat the steps, whatever I have done so far. Okay, did you all receive the image link? Okay. How would you extract the background again? Select and mask. Okay, so click on this button, select and mask. And as soon as you do that, it will take you to a new place. Click select subject. Okay. And once you do so, you'll be getting the subject selected. And once you get the subject selected, click on decontaminate colors. Okay. And click on OK. That's it. So once you do so, I'll just, sorry, miss? No, just one, just one. You mean to say this layer which you have? No, when I was creating the background copy, when I was trying to extract the select and mask, automatically it created a new layer. I did not do it by myself. It automatically created a new layer when you are creating select and mask. Okay. So now this is the background image which we have. We're going to keep it exactly the same. We don't wish to change this or anything. And at this point, I will just do one thing. I will expand this portion. Okay. So a little more to the height side. You can also see this in this example. You can see that we have a little more height on top. We have a little more free space on top. So if you wish to add that free space in here, you can select the crop tool and extend this like so, like so. So you're extending this portion a little. So you see that I'm extending this portion a little. Okay. So why? Because we wanted some free space on top. That's the reason. So when we get this free space, that's it. You just hold your options there. Don't change anything now. Keep it there. At this point, we're gonna add the trees which you see in here. All right. So you see that we have trees and stuff. So coming to the trees and selecting the trees out. How do you select the trees out? That's another question. So as I've explained this before, this is how you do it. So search for trees in this case. Okay, this is the trees which you have. Let me copy it. This is the trees which you have. So this is the tree image which you have. Select the trees image. Now, what you do with that tree image is this. Download the tree image. So this is the tree image which we have. Import it in your Photoshop. Now at this point, you will be importing this in your Photoshop. How do you import it? Is by dragging and dropping it on the image. Okay, so don't do this. Don't right click and open with the image. You have to do the opposite. So what you do is you open the Finder window, search for that specific file, and then you drag and drop the file. Okay, you search for that specific file and then drag and drop the file. Please do not use open with method to bring or import your files. Instead, use this. Okay, instead, use this. So what you're going to use is this. Let's go a little down. So you're going to open the file. You see the file. This is the file. And with that file selected, you drag it and drop it on your image. Okay. So you just drag and drop this. Use this. Drag and drop the image on top of the layer. Okay. So once you have dragged and dropped the image on top of the layer, this is how it's going to look like. Now what you do is you're going to bring this layer below and make it small. Okay, so you just make it smaller. Okay, like that. I'm just making it a little smaller, just so that it can cover half of the screen. Okay, just make it a little smaller so that it can cover half the screen. Once it's done, now you see we're going to extract only the background for this, or only this trees. Only we have to select the trees, nothing else. So for only selecting the trees, this is what you have to do. As I've explained you before, same thing as what I've explained you before. I'm going to explain this again by going very slow. So select the image and create 3 different copies of this. 1, 2, 3. 3 different copies of the same image. Okay, yes, please. Yeah, sure. Yes. Press control and then change. Yes. Okay. So now at this point, you have these three layers with you. So now you have these three layers with you. Now with these three layers selected, what you will be doing is you're going to select the first one. Okay, for your information, I'm just going to name this as R, G, and B. So you can see it, so you can understand this. Or let me just rename this as red. Okay, red, green, blue. Okay, so I'm renaming these things to red, green, and blue so you can understand this quite well. With this, first click on the red channel, click on the red channel. So you create these three channels now. Just write this down in here. And you can also do this, or you can click on layer, new layer via copy also to create a new layers of the images, by the way. Okay, so just for your information. So once three layers are created, you can see that once three layers are created, control J, control J for creating new layers. So, oh, sorry. My mind, I think it's not working. So it's control J to create new layers. So control J or command J if you're using this for this example. So you select control J or command J to create new layers. And once you have created new layers, what you do now is you select the green channel. Okay, let's talk about the first green channel. So I'm going to click on the green channel, go to channels, and press and hold control key and click on green. Now you see that the problem is it's selecting everything in existence. We don't want everything to be done. So I will just hide everything except this. So I'm going to hide everything except the red, green, and blue channel. Okay, that is also a step. So please follow that step. Hide every other layer except the RGB layers. Okay, hide every other layer except RGB layers. So you can have this. Now at this point, click on the red channel. I'm going to click on channels. First, click on red. So only reds get selected. Now, select the layer, go to color channels. And once you go to the color channels, you will have RGB. Press and hold control key or command key if you're using a Mac. For Mac, this is for Windows. Okay, once you have selected it, press and hold control key and click on the first layer, which you see it's red. So I'm going to click on red, press and hold control key and click on red. Only reds get selected. Once the reds get selected, go back to the layers in here and select, press and hold Alt key from your keyboard. Okay, Alt key from your keyboard and click on this layer mask. Okay, press and hold Alt key and click on the layer mask. So now go back to your layers panel. So to give the emphasis, I'll just make some shapes or else you might get confused. This is your channels. And this is your layers channels. Okay, so that's your channels and that's your layers channels. So while you're doing this, you're going to select that. And once you do so, that's your red channel selected. Now we'll go for the green one, select the green, go to your channels, press and hold control key and click on the green so that all greens get selected. And once you select the green layer, go to the channels section, press and hold control key and click on the green portion. All greens get selected. Now at this point, go back to your layers and select the green channel, press and hold Alt key from your keyboard and click on this layer mask again. Okay. Option keys for Mac, Alt keys for Windows. Okay. So press and hold that and click on this. Same thing, go with blue, go to channels, press and hold control key, click on blue, go back to your layers, press and hold alt key, click on the layer mask. All these will get selected. Now, once you have selected this is how your final option will look like. Do the same for rest of the layers. And soon after that, you have three distinct layers which are creating this image without the background, right? At this point, click on Shift key and click on all the layers. Or you can select this by pressing and holding Control key and click, click, click to select each individual layers. Or just click on the top layer, press and hold Shift key, select the bottom layer, everything gets selected. So once you select everything together, now what you will be doing is you're going to select all these things together, right click on the layer and click on this Convert to Smart Object. Okay. Once done, select all RGB layers and right click, select Smart Object or Convert to Smart Object. That's it. So that's your blue, the layer is saying blue. I'm going to change this to trees now. Your tree layer is now ready. Okay, so I'm just changing this to trees. This is completely optional. Change the layer name to tree. Okay. So that's about this. So now once it's done, now what you do is you will be creating some copy of this. How do you create a copy is by pressing and holding Option key from this, drag it to the side. Okay, that's how you can do it. So just press and hold Alt key from your keyboard and drag it to the side. So you're creating a new copy of this. Okay. Okay, so press and hold Alt key from your keyboard and drag this to the side. While holding the Alt key, select this portion and just drag it to the side. Yes, yes, please. You have a question? Yeah, give me a second, miss. Okay, so just click on here and drag it to the side. Hold and drag to the side while holding. That's about this. Yes, please. What's your leg, right? Select your channel, go to channels, press and hold Control key, click on that. But you should always please make sure that the title is here. Not many. So please hide it here. Select one of this, click on channels, press and hold Control key, click on that. Yes, that will be contact. Now we want to do this. Press and hold Alt key, click on this, that. Now it is go to channels. Press and hold Control key, click on this. Go to this. Press and hold Alt, click on this. Do the same. Click on channel. Press and hold Control, click on this. Go back to the place. Press and hold Alt, click on this. Once everything is done, select shape, you select all, right click, object, then you press and hold Alt key on the keyboard, right, press and hold Alt. Okay. So little steps, little bit steps. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Okay, okay. I will just add it to you. I will do. Can I do it soon at the end of the class? Yeah, thank you. Okay. So that's done. So that's your tree. Okay, that's how it is. So once everything is done, now just to give this is an optional step. You don't have to do it. Still, it's an optional step for you to follow. Click on the trees, select the mask. At this point, I can use the brush tool to remove the edges. You can see that the edges are not looking real. So I'm just going to remove these edges so that it looks a little real. So there is no line between. So you see before, okay, before there was a line which doesn't look good. So I removed that line. Okay, that's something which we did. Okay, so everything is done now. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead with our move tool and we're gonna bring back our image. Okay, that's our image which we brought back. Also, you can see that we have this white hue, like a white hue line in here, right? So you see that what I did now, well, I just brought this back, brought this human face back. Okay, now when I bring this back, you see that there's a white line something showing up. See, there is a white line hue showing up. That is because when RGBs are selected, these areas also consist of some RGBs. That's the reason why it's showing up like this. So this is an optional step. You don't have to do it now, but if you wish to do it, you can create a mask for both of the tree layers which you have created, like a layer mask like this, and select the brush tool to remove, right? Brush tool, black color to now remove this complete area like this. So I'm just removing this portion. Okay, just for the face part, I'm removing it. It's not necessary that you do it, but still, I would recommend you to do that. Once it's done, I'm just gonna go with 0% hardness. Okay. And I'll do the same thing for this. So just so that we don't get that white hue. It doesn't matter because we're gonna eventually change this to black and white later on. Okay. Now this is done. So this is how your the image looks like. So once it's done, just bring back the background. This is how it's going to look like. Now at this point, what you do is you're going to select the image, the trees image, which you see, and you want this image to be brought back on this person's face. So I'm going to press and hold Alt key from my keyboard to select the image and drag it on his face. See, like this. You can also resize it by clicking on Show Transform Controls under the Move tool, and you can resize this to make it bigger if you wish. So I want to make this bigger, so make it something like this. So I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Yes. So what did we do was we selected this. Um, we selected this. Press and hold Alt key from your keyboard. Yes, Alt key from your keyboard. If you're using a MacBook, it's Option key. You are dragging this towards the face, and when you drag it, it's going to make a copy. Now release the Alt key. Now you have this copy in your hand. Now you click on the Show Transform Controls. Show Transform Controls. You have to select the Move tool, by the way. You are in the Move tool. So in this, now you can resize the image to however you wish you want this to be. So I'll make it something like this. Yes, it's only for resizing. So you're resizing this image according to your will. You can do it a little bigger or you can make it smaller. It's completely up to you. As an artist, it's up to you to decide how you want this to be. Okay. So once it's done, let's say that I'm going to keep it, but I'll show you the reference image. Okay. This is the reference image which we have, right? So with this reference image, you can see that near his temples, the trees are showing up. So I'm going to do the exact same thing near his temples. I'm going to keep the image and then I'm going to expand it. So it's preserving that specific temple area and it's going to expand that. Okay, this is fine. Now, once this is done, it will look something like this. You're creating a new layer and you're just overexposing it on top of that. Okay. So press and hold Alt key and drag the portion from below to head of the subject. And this is how it's going to look like. Resize if necessary. Okay, so once it's done, what you will be doing now is you will be selecting this portion. This is the layer which we have. And with this layer, you see that this is the tree, the mask which I have, the mask layer which I have for this. So if you don't have a mask layer to this, I'll just show you. You see, I don't have a mask layer to this. If you don't have a mask layer to this, you create a mask layer by clicking on this button. Okay. So select the trees on top. And once you select that, create a mask layer by clicking on this. This will create a mask layer. Once you have created the mask layer, now at this point, what you will be doing is you're going to use the brush tool from your brush section. Select black color, and you will be removing the part of the face where it's actually coming to the face. So I don't want these portions to be there. So I'm just removing the rest of the portion, which I don't want. I want only the part of the face to be there, and I don't want anything else to be existing. So I'll just remove this. Okay. So this is how it's going to look like. Okay. So once you get this kind of an image, now add trees to own the subject's face, or only on the subject's face. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. At this point, you will remove the subject's face by using mask. So you're going to remove that subject's face from mask. Before you remove that subject's face from mask, you do one simple thing before you do that. Right click, select rasterize layer. Okay, so right click and select rasterize layer to that specific subject layer. So like this, right click on the subject layer, click on rasterize layer. If you don't see rasterize layer, you will have to convert this to smart object and then rasterize it. Okay. Convert to smart object and then right click rasterize layer. Okay. All right. So once it's done, you have rasterized the layer, and this is how it's going to look like. Now, all you have to do is remove the face of this person by selecting the face, clicking on layer mask, and this will create the layer mask for it. With this layer mask created, okay. So now create a new layer mask on the subject. Now with this, select your brush tool and select black to remove all the features of that person's face. Okay, like so. Don't worry about the other things. We're going to bring them back as we want. So for this position, we want it to be like this. Just a rough sketch. Once it's done, see the reference image. Everything is existing, only the temples are removed. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to keep everything except the temples. So I'm going to select the face. I'm going to bring back everything by selecting white. I'm going to bring back everything except the temples. So I'm going to bring this back. This hair I want it. This hair I want it. Yes, I'm doing it with the brush tool. Same thing what we did with our streak effect, you remember? Same thing in here as well. Now, at this point, we're going to select back the trees image, select black to remove the trees option from here, right? Only this portion we need, like so. So now I want a few more things in here. Let me bring back the trees on this portion. Let me see, okay. And yeah, I think this should be fine. So you can modify it however you want this to be. It shouldn't be like exactly like how they did it. You can modify it according to you how you want this to be. Okay. And let me bring back here. And let's yes, give me a second, miss. I'll be there. I'll just modify this from there. Uh, until here, it's fine. Yeah. Okay. So that's about this. I think I'll remove this portion. This portion. Let me just remove this. Okay. So that's about this. So once your image is ready, let's say, now all we have to do is just go ahead and make the two colors blend together. Yes, please. You have a question, right? Yeah, just this is. So to make the size of it, please select. I'll just complete this and come back because you have to put it in process. Okay. Okay. At this point, where it's or you select black. All right. So now at this point, you have, uh, you have just made the selection. Okay, give me a second here. I'll, yeah, okay. So once it's done, we're gonna add one simple mask on top. Okay, one simple mask on top. Is everything okay? Yeah. From the beginning. Okay, no problem. We'll do it. So what we do now is let's create a new layer. This time, what we do, we want to blend both or all the layers together. So modify the image. So once it's done, finally, what do you do now is you click on adjustment layer. Adjustment layers is this button that you see. So this is the adjustment layer. Click on that. And when you click on that adjustment layer, it will create a new layer on top. This time, what you select is you select black and white. Okay, so you click on this black and white, and this will create that specific layer on top. So now with that black and white, now you can play around with this black and white to choose what things should be like highlighted and what things should not be highlighted. Now you can see. So I'm gonna make the color of the hair and the trees very same. So now you can see. So all the details, whatever it's there, you try to change the settings to a position where you feel that all details are actually matching. Okay. So for this example, this is the tone which we have set. So for this example, these are the settings. So once it's done, now what you do is you just add the what do you call that? The birds and stuff. Before you add it, I'll just clear out a few things. So now it looks a little more professional. All right. And once it's done, all you have to do now is to bring in the birds or anything in here as such. For this example, I'm going to use birds itself. So you can bring birds and stuff like that. So let me search for birds PNG, BIRDS PNG. So you can use birds PNG or you can use bats PNG. So it's up to you to decide which one you can select. Yes, it must be a PNG file because if you select that, you see that you are getting it without the background. So you should be getting it without the background like this. So now right click, save image as, and save the image. Now just drag and drop it on top of your Photoshop. You can resize it to small. To give the effect that it's coming from behind, make it small first and make a copy now for this, the bats flying. Make a copy of this and then make it a little bigger. So this will give an illusion that they're coming from far away and then they are, they're zoomed in at this point. Things like that. Okay. And then, sorry, it's all PNG. Yes, Alt and just drag. You wish to make a copy. Yes. Same thing. I'm also going to search for birds PNG. Birds PNG. So save image as, save, just drag and drop it right into your Photoshop file. Okay, that's how you can do it. And smaller for this example, or you can make it bigger. It's up to you. So let's PNG. There you go. And once everything is done, you can bring a, like a white background behind. And you also see that there is a filter. Okay, there is a cold filter on top. If you see the previous example, which I was trying to show you, there is this like a cool filter on top. See that? This is like a cool filter on top. Looks a little, mystic, or little more. What do you call this, as mysterious, right? So this kind of a filter. So we have more grays and blues in the mixture. So how do we add this? That's also something which we're going to talk about. So finally, you add the background, okay, white background itself. I'm just going to put this like off white background, which means to say that I'm going to make this a little off white towards the blues. Okay, so you can see how it will be. So see that I'm just making a little off white towards a little blue, and that's it. I'm just keeping it like that. It's not complete white, it's like slight off white. Okay, you see that it's having F3, F3, F3. Complete white is F, 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 F. I'm making it F3, F3, F3. Okay, or okay, let's make it FB or F9. So this is slightly off white. Once it's done, now what you do is you will be creating that specific thing. Okay, give me a second. I think it's too crowded in here. Just make this go a little to the side. Like that. This one as well, a little to the side. Where maybe I can make it smaller. Okay. All right, so that's about this. Okay, so once everything is done, let's add our adjustment layer again. For this to make it look mysterious, we're going to add an adjustment layer. We call this as hue and saturation. Let's add hue and saturation. And you can see that if I change this hue and saturation layer, it will automatically change that specific tone of the image. Okay? So I'm going to make, you see that this is the luminance we have, this is the saturation we have. Okay, so we're going to make it like slight of blue in this case. It's a slight of blue, something like that. You can also make it like little cyan, but I'm going to stick to blue. You can also make it pink, red, blue, green, whatever you want. I'm going to stick to blue itself. It's like off blue. Okay, make it less in its saturation, very less, very slight red, and very slight in its composition. That's it. So this is before, this is after, like a slight variation just to give this mysterious look to it. Okay, and that's about this. So once everything is ready, once your project is ready, what do you do is you just export the project. Okay. This is completely optional. And that's how your image will be. And once it's ready, you just export the selection. So before exporting, you also see that in this, there is a slight white, like a tone happening in here. You're going to remove that. You're going to go down in here, select that layer. I think that layer is already selected. We're going to use the brush tool to make select black. Just going to remove this off. Things as such. Also, we're going to do the same for this. So now everything looks fine. So that's your double exposure image ready. And now you can just export the file as a JPG file or a PSD file or anything as such. So let's save this file, save it to the drive. I'm going to make this as highest quality possible and just save this. So that's your image ready, and that's how it's going to look like. So I'll just share you this on your WhatsApp as well. Guys. Okay, so that's your file plus this. Both I will send you on your WhatsApp. Okay. That's your first file. That's your next file. There you go. That's it. So see how it goes for you all, and you can go through this again. All right. Give me a second. Just Miss, I'll just copy the files.